am going to go over how to solve equations because our book just assumes that we know how to do that. And so while many of us may remember how to do that, it may have been a while. And so I want to go through just a refresher on how to do that. So I use this method called DCPCM down here at the bottom. And this is actually I didn't make this up. It's just something I found a couple of years ago, and I really find it to be the most beneficial way. Now, if you have another method that is helpful to you, then by all means use that. But this is just one that I think that is a helpful tool. You're going to hear me say, so, like, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally for PEMDAS. I say, Dad can pick chocolate muffins. And that was just something a student several years ago came up with. And so I just kind of stuck with me, and so I use it. So let's look at the first step. So the first thing is distribution. So what I'm going to put right here is parentheses. So the only time we're going to use distribution is if we see parentheses. So if I had, for example, 4 parentheses x plus 3 equals 12, that's when I would use distribution. I would need to take this 4 and distribute it through the problem. Okay. The second C stands, or the first C, sorry, second letter stands for cleanup. This is when I would combine like terms. So let's say I have 4x plus 3 plus 2x is equal to 12 plus 8. Let's do that. And so if I look through my problem, let me change colors here. Notice that this 4x right here and this 2x right here are like terms. So I would combine those. So 4x plus 2x is 6x. So I have 6x plus 3. And then even over here, this 12 and this 8 are like terms. They're both whole numbers. They don't have a variable attached to them. And so I have 20 on this side. So cleanup just means go through and combine anything that's alike that I can combine together. My favorite thing about this little acronym is pick on little guy, because that seems to be the thing that people tend to get the most confused about. So let's say I have 4x plus 3 is equal to 8x plus 2. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at just the variables. So pick on the little guy doesn't work for, sorry, that's a terrible 8. Doesn't work for other numbers. And so when I look at these two, the little guy is the 4 because it's smaller than the 8. And so I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. And so then I'm left with 3 equals 4x plus 2. And then I just solve that like normal. Okay. And then the last two, these should be pretty easy. This second C, the fourth letter, stands for constant. And then the last one for multiply, divide. So let's just go ahead and finish out this problem right here. This is the constant. It's the number that is with the variable, but it's the whole number. And so I'm going to move this constant. So I do minus 2 minus 2. So I've got 1 equals 4x. And then the last step is multiply or divide. So this is 4 times x. The opposite of times is divide. I'm sorry. It's also, we could just call this just multiply instead of multiply and divide, because this is the multiplicative inverse. And so that's what it's actually called. So then x is equal to 1/4, or, sorry, that is getting really sloppy there. Let me change to an eraser. I don't know where the eraser is on this one. Okay, sorry, and my pen is not erasing for me. All right, so 1/4 or 0.25. So that would be that. All right, so we're going to go on to the next slide. So let's switch to mouse and next screen. See if it goes there. Let's clear the screen. Okay, So I've got a couple of examples here that we're going to go through together. So let's look at this one. I always draw a line right here. Not everybody needs a line, but some people do. And then that way you can separate. Here's the left side of your equation and the right side of your equation. So I'm going to go through. Dad can pick chocolate muffins. So I've got Dad can pick chocolate muffins. There's no distribution, so I don't have to worry about that one. There's nothing to clean up because if I look at this side of the problem, everything is simplified. There's nothing more I can do. If I look at the right side of the problem, nothing else can simplify. So I'm ready to pick on the little guy. So I've got 7x and 5x. Remember, we're just looking at the variables. So I'm going to move the 5x, so it's minus 5x minus 5x. And if I had moved the 7, it would not change the problem at all. The pick on the little guy really just helps to avoid having to mess with a lot of positive and negative numbers. All right, so 5, that's hard to read, but that's 7 minus 5x, which is 2x. So now I'm ready to do my constant. My constant is this 6, so I'm going to do plus 6 on both sides. So I've got 2x is equal to 4. And then I divide both sides by 2 because the last step is multiply or divide, or the multiplicative inverse, whichever one you want to call it. And so my answer is 2. Okay, let's do another one. Let's change colors here. So I'm going to come over here to this side. I'm going to start with my line. And I'm going to go ahead and write Dad can pick chocolate muffins again. So you're going to see me do this a lot. It's up to you. If you haven't, you can do it faster, then that's fine by me. All right, so distribute. There is distribution. Sorry, that's terrible. I'm going to go ahead and distribute this 7 through here. So I've got 7x minus 28 is equal to 6x minus 2x plus 32. So I'm ready to clean up. This left side doesn't get cleaned up. There's nothing more to do, but I can clean up these two right here. So 6x minus 2x is 4x plus 32. Now I'm ready to pick on the little guy. So cross that out. I'm ready for pick on the little guy. So I've got minus 4x because he's the little guy, so he's the one that has to move. So I've got 3x minus 28 equals 32. Now I'm ready to get rid of my constant. So plus 28 plus 28. So we have 3x is equal to 60. And then divide by 3. And so then x is equal to 20. And so that would be my final answer. Remember, since this is a video, if I went too fast on anything, you're always able to stop and pause, catch up. And you can also like just rewind and see how I did something so that you can make sure that you caught all the steps.